Hey everyone, and welcome back to Insider Guides, where we help international students that want to study in Australia. This video is for those international students that are wondering what they should insure now that they're here. So in this video, we're going to go through 4 major types of insurance: health insurance, car insurance, home and contents insurance, and travel insurance. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so Overseas Student Health Cover, or OSHC, if you have it, it will contribute to the cost if you need medical treatment in and out of hospital. It will contribute to the cost of prescription medications, and it will cover you for ambulance emergency services as well. So who's going to organise your OSHC? Well, often you have to do it yourself, or your institution in Australia will help organise it for you. But whatever the case, just make sure you've got it. So check with your agent or do your own research, because if you don't have it, you will not be allowed to study here. Just note that you do need to get OSHC before you leave your home country, as you're going to need to quote that number in order to get your student visa. So there's a great website called oshcaustralia.com.au, which allows you to compare different policies, and it'll help you get a good deal. Okay, so Overseas Student Health Cover is fantastic, but it doesn't cover everything. For example, your policy might not cover things like optical or dental or physiotherapy. So if that is something that's important to you, it might be worth taking out extra private health insurance. Now, you can get extra private health insurance probably from the same organization you got your OSHC cover from, so just check with them. I'm talking about the big companies like Allianz or AHM or Medibank or Bupa, those sorts of companies. So the Australian government actually has a really good website to compare health insurance policies, and that is at privatehealth.gov.au, so check that out. Okay, so the next one we're looking at is home and contents insurance. Now, the key is in the name. Home and contents insurance covers you for the building you live in and the stuff inside it. Now, as you're probably renting in Australia, you probably do not need to take out building insurance or home insurance, because that part of the insurance is usually covered by the landlord. However, you may want to cover yourself with contents, so that's getting contents insurance. So then we're looking at your personal belongings inside your house, and that will cover you in terms of like theft and fire and damage and things like that. Just be careful, because every policy is different. Lots of policies in terms of contents insurance will only cover fire and theft, but other policies will also cover damage. So the rule of thumb is the more you pay, the more cover you get. So just keep that in mind when you're researching contents insurance. If you live in a share house, you can choose to split the one policy, but you can also choose to get your own policy for your own belongings. That's a good option too, especially if you don't like dealing with your housemates on very personal things like that. If you're living in managed student accommodation, just check with the student accommodation facility about whether or not contents insurance is covered under the lease. Some of them are, but if they're not, you can actually get your own policy through the accommodation provider usually. So just check with them about that if it's not covered already. Okay, so car insurance. Now, there are essentially 4 different types of car insurance if you choose to buy a car or drive a car in Australia, and I'm going to go through all 4 of them now. Okay, so the first one is compulsory third-party insurance. Now, as the name suggests, it is compulsory. Now, this covers you for injury to another person in an accident. It doesn't cover damage to your property or anyone else's property. It is compulsory in every state and territory in Australia, and in most cases, it's actually included in the registration of the vehicle, but in some states it's not. So you just need to check that. You need to check that you're covered for compulsory third-party insurance. Okay, so the second type is third-party property. Now, this covers you for damaging someone else's property and the legal costs associated with that. So if you're driving a cheap car and you smash into a Lamborghini, this is the kind of insurance policy you want. Okay, so this insurance is fire damage and theft. Now, as the name suggests, this is a limited kind of insurance, and it really only covers fire damage and theft to and of vehicles. Now, some policies do cover collision damage, but not all of them, so do check that one. Okay, so comprehensive insurance is the most comprehensive kind of car insurance you can get, as it's in the name. This covers everything from theft of vehicles, damage to vehicles, malicious damage, weather damage, things like that. And depending on the policy, it usually covers damage and legal costs to other vehicles. Some things to consider, your policy premium, which is the amount you pay every month or so, will depend on a few factors such as your age, your driving record, where you store the car, the kind of car you have, those sorts of things. And if you are interested in getting an insurance policy, there's so many websites online that will help you compare good policies and try and work out the right one that is good for you. All right, so the last form of insurance we're going to look at is travel insurance. Now, if you plan on traveling around Australia or traveling overseas and you're a little bit weary that accidents do happen, this is the insurance you need. Now, travel insurance policies do vary widely, but most of them do cover medical cover, evacuations, things like that, also delayed flights, lost baggage, theft, damage to property, those sorts of things. Just like every other kind of insurance, the more you pay, usually the more that is covered. And just remember, with travel insurance, some places you go to in the world might result in you paying higher premiums. For example, if you go to the US, the premiums you pay, which is the amount you pay up front, can be a little higher than if you go to other countries because the cost of healthcare in the US is a bit higher than in other countries. There's a great website to compare travel insurance options called comparethemarket.com.au. Look, thank you so much for watching, guys. I hope you got some value out of that. Please head to our website, insiderguides.com.au, for more information about studying and living in Australia. And please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you so much.